Good morning, everyone. It is indeed a privilege to be here and to speak to you today. I would like to thank Frank Rivas, our Reverend, for allowing me to share his pulpit. I've discovered that attempting to write a meaningful sermon is not for the faint of heart. It's a pretty daunting task. I'd like to thank Carolyn McNamara for assembling the order of service programs for both services, and Catherine Dixon for her administrative assistance. I'd like to give a special thank you to Maria Wallace for being the worship associate today and for suggesting the readings for the service. Her many contributions to this church, as we all know, are invaluable. Thank you to our beloved Pat Will for playing piano today at the service. And finally, a big thank you to my great friend, Stan Harper there. Thank you, Stan, for performing with me today on saxophone and playing piano at the first service. It is always a great joy for me to share the stage with you. I love you, you know that. Music, exploring creativity and pursuing your passion. Music is the universal language of mankind. Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. The only truth is music. Jack Kerouac. Music is the language of the spirit. It opens the secret of life, bringing peace, abolishing strife. Khalil Gibran. Music is a moral law. It gives soul to the universe. Plato. When I hear music, I fear no danger. I am invulnerable. I see no foe. I am related to the earliest of times and to the latest, Thoreau. Inspiration is an awakening, a quickening of all one's faculties, and it is manifest in all high artistic achievements. Puccini. Music in the soul can be heard by the universe. Lao Tzu. To stop the flow of music would be like the stopping of time itself. Incredible and inconceivable. Aaron Copland. There was no one near to confuse me, so I was forced to become original. Joseph Haydn. And life is a lot like jazz. It's best when you improvise. George Gershwin. Are you a creative person? And do you routinely utilize your intuitive creative potential? If not, is it one of your untapped desires? What exactly is creativity? For me, it's harnessing the sum total of one's intellect and imagination, and in the case of many artists of all varieties, their emotional powers as well, and then applying your unique talents and skills which have been developed over time in an intuitive, inspired manner, thinking outside the box, as it were, to either create something or to brainstorm using deductive reasoning to hopefully achieve a viable solution to a particularly challenging dilemma. My talk today may intermittently include cross-disciplinary creative processes, but being a musician and how that has impacted me creatively will be my primary focus. The first issue I'd like to address regarding musical creativity, and certainly as a songwriter, which may not be apparent to you during your developmental stages as a composer, is assuming that you will showcase your music to others in one form or another. The byproduct of your creativity, your song, the musical arrangement, and the performance of that material in a live situation or recorded format generally results in a subjective analysis or critique by others in varying degrees. It can be difficult to quantify the musical viability and the artistic merit of your creation to others. Your music is being evaluated. For instance, if you are a recording artist, people within the music business per se have their own criteria for evaluating music. They tend to equate a successful song or musical project with how many units or copies it sells, how much radio play it receives, how many concert opportunities are now available to the artist based upon sales and radio play and the proverbial bottom line, how much money does the song or songs generate? Especially if you are affiliated with a record company. Bear in mind, however, that in contemporary music, there are, in fact, fewer and fewer record labels to promote artists within all genres. For the vast majority of recording and non-recording musicians today, we are all considered independent musicians. The onus of creating and dispensing our music, however we choose to do so, is on us. When I was a younger musician, a jazz musician in Los Angeles, I worked part-time in the accounting division of ATB Publishing, which at that time owned all of the Beatles publishing, the Clan Music and Northern Songs. One of my assignments was to assemble a quarterly report of all the Beatles publishing royalties vis-a-vis their worldwide record and radio play. My assignment during that 40-hour work week involved tabulating incredible sums of $50,000, $70,000, $80,000, etc., and recording them into the company's bank records. Now, for many of us who are die-hard Beatles fans, we love their music unconditionally. We aren't preoccupied with record sales and music royalties. The music they created is all that matters to us. However, for Lennon and McCartney specifically, their musical and business success validated them as creative songwriters. Moreover, their commercial success directly enabled them to continue pursuing, recording, and releasing their music to all of us. They didn't need to find another job to supplement their income, as so many musicians do today. There is no reasonable way to invalidate their creative musical achievements. As we all know, very few, if any, musical artists, past, present, or future, have and or will ever achieve this degree of musical acclaim and acceptance by the populace. Which brings me to my second issue, number 2. Is it mandatory that someone's music achieves at the very least some affirmation or consensus by others in audience in order to legitimize its musical credibility? Number 3. Can you compose and perform only for yourself? No audience, just you, not sharing your musical product via the internet, live shows, or recordings, and still be considered, at least by yourself, a creative musician? I'll let you ponder. However, I will go on the record and say that I believe music is, in fact, a communicative art form, and that it is best shared with others. For me, music has been a lifelong passion, almost obsessively so. My journey began 55 years ago when I started taking piano lessons at age 6, and yes, that does make me 61 years old. How did that happen? Throughout this time, there were many years of private lessons on piano, drums, percussion, mallet percussion, vibes, marimba, xylophone, and what feels like endless hours of solitary practicing and group rehearsals within a wide variety of practice rooms. Most of them not particularly scenic or visually appealing. I've also spent an equivalent amount of time studying, composing, arranging, performing and recording my original contemporary jazz music, which is, in fact, a synthesis of jazz, rhythm and blues, Latin, and melodic pop styles. I actually began composing around 7th and 8th grades, inspired by the music of Dave Brubeck, the Modern Jazz Quartet, and others. As composer Robert Schumann said, in order to be a composer, all you need to do is remember a song that no one else thought of. Okay, Robert, no pressure. Well, like many serious-minded musicians, I trained at a variety of educational institutions, beginning in earnest in middle school, then high school, numerous summer music camps, including the Berklee School of Music in Boston, 2 Big Ten universities, and a music conservatory. I have a doctorate in music performance from the University of Iowa, although jazz studies and contemporary media, music theory, and especially music education are areas that resonate most with me. Granted, my musical focus, my training, and my application may be more extreme than others within my field, but certainly not all. The sum total of these experiences, my musical knowledge, and my desire to create my own music parallels the commitment many others in all careers have made and continue to make in becoming enlightened and gifted practitioners within their respective careers, such as medicine, law, engineering, architecture, business, accounting, counseling, ministry, plumbing, carpentry, the arts, teaching, and many others. I should also mention that I have devoted 28 years of my life teaching music to students of all ages from K through 12, university, and adults. I have tried to teach them to love music like I love it, while helping them develop their creative potential. For me, and for many others in all fields, creativity and a creative mindset and orientation is what I believe to be at the very heart center, the essence of who I am as a musician and teacher. As a disclaimer, the opinions I put forth regarding creativity are my own and are not intended to invalidate or diminish the creative journey of other musicians or individuals in any other field. This brings me to my parameters of creativity. I am speaking as a musician, but evaluate per your own musical sensibilities. Perhaps this will resonate for you as regards your own field and own criteria for creative thinking and ways of expanding and utilizing your creative potential. Number 1, creativity and creative thinking in general is the byproduct of individuals who possess an inquisitive intellect and a fertile imagination. These individuals are generally not preoccupied with maintaining the status quo. They are intellectually curious. People that are oriented towards creation and creative thinking look for ways to improve upon what they already do well, which may lead them to discover new modes of self-expression, or perhaps find alternate ways of solving complex issues. As Wagner said, imagination creates reality. The following musical decisions are typical of what contemporary jazz composers like myself must reconcile during the creative process when we're writing music. Number 1, what is the design of the song's harmonic framework and its harmonic rhythm? In essence, how do I create the chords that underscore the entire piece? And at what velocity do these chords change? How memorable is the melody? Do the notes in that rhythmic flow feel natural and not awkward? Do the articulations, which determines how the melody is played, enhance the melodic design and phrasing of the song? Which instrument or instruments play an improvised solo? How long will it last and where will it occur? What kind of rhythmic groove best serves the song, and will it be altered at any point during the song? What will the many orchestrational elements entail when devising the total arrangement? In essence, which instrument plays what, where, and how? Every minuscule detail must be accounted for, as the sum total of all the parts needs to theoretically make sense, feel good, and sound good. Will I have accounted for everything in order to satisfy my musically creative sensibilities? And what will my audience think of this music? As Mahler said, I am hitting my head against the walls, but the walls are giving way. Number 2, your academic training, combined with ongoing self-studies and fruitful collaborations with colleagues within your discipline, provides you with an ever-evolving reservoir of vital information and knowledge with which to explore your craft creatively and with truly inspired creative thinking and action. The depth and breadth of knowledge you possess regarding all parameters of your area of expertise, in my case it would be music, is commensurate with the sophistication of your creative potential. According to Brahms, without craftsmanship, inspiration is a mere reed shaken in the wind. Moreover, your intellectual prowess and creative intuition should enable you to achieve an enhanced critical analysis of your work, thereby providing you with invaluable insights as you attempt to perfect your creation or solve a particularly vexing problem. That is, provided you have the ability to objectively critique your work. As Duke Ellington used to say, if it sounds good, it is good. Ultimately, every composer needs to trust their ears, because when you are a performer, composer, or sound engineer responsible for the creation of that music that is in recorded form, you are in fact in the sound business. You are evaluated by the quality of the sounds you create. When my new CD comes out in early 2016, all of you that perchance will listen to it will evaluate. And I hope you like it. Number 3, although creativity is often fueled by inspiration, sometimes we have to generate our own inspiration. Charles Ives once said, "Every great inspiration is but an experiment." Over the years, I have often found that in order to creatively explore my composing and jazz improvisational studies, which is a primary element of defining your abilities as a jazz artist, it required an inordinate degree of self-discipline, determination, and sacrifice. I collaborated with a graphic designer to create a series of music motivational posters for music students and educators. A couple of these posters relate to this issue. Here's one of them. The 3 Ds, discipline, determination, and dedication, will decide your fate. Ponder that. Hard work leads to success. There are no shortcuts on the road to success. Mind you, I didn't say hard work guarantees success. However you define that, I tend to think it is the artistic self-satisfaction of your creation, but it can lead towards whatever you deem success to be. The great Johann Sebastian Bach, one of my favorite composers, said, "I was obliged to be industrious. Whoever is equally industrious will succeed equally well." In summation, after all the studies, the self-sacrifice, the collaborations, the critical yet objective analysis of your creative pursuits, the practical application of it, the doing of it, as Nike so eloquently has said to all of us, just do it, is the bottom line. Although many composers and or lyricists write their music in isolation, unless they have co-writers, performing and recording the music, if you choose to do so, requires the participation of other musicians who you trust and rely upon to play their individual parts with accuracy, passion, and with jazz music in particular, creativity and insight. The individual and collective musical performances of the musicians can enliven and, yes, transform your song into something beyond your expectations. It can be more glorious than you ever imagined. The all-encompassing sounds that emanate from any highly skilled and multi-talented music ensemble that plays and or sings music that you enjoy can resonate deeply within your consciousness and your soul. I've been fortunate to experience that sensation many times as a participant within ensembles of all types and genres, and as an audience member, and with my own music. Hearing, or even desiring to hear, the magnificence of all those interconnected and interwoven musical parts is what I truly believe is what keeps me composing. And I think that that statement is fairly consistent with how many composers, past and present, have felt as they contemplated writing their next composition. Because creative people, they forge ever onward, because that's who they are and that's how they think. The Russian composer Dmitri Shostakovich said, "A creative artist works on his next composition because he was not satisfied with the previous one." In essence, what I think he's really saying is, there is more to explore. The creative quest continues.